The primary objective of today is for you to learn how to enter district grants in a new format.
If you're familiar with DACDB, when you log in, you're going to land on this home page. And I am impersonating a president-elect today, so most of you will see something similar. I am going to go over to the My Club tab because this is where you're going to find the icon that you need to enter your applications for grants. So when I click on My Club, you should see a grants icon here, but I purposely removed it so I can show you, if you don't see it, what you need to do. Up on the top right, there is a little wheel. You're going to click that on. Under available icons, if you do not see your grants icon, you're going to find it here. And you're just going to drag it up to the yellow section. And this is important. Just click the Set My configuration. And now here it is in my first position. And you probably know your first 6 icons are your favorites. So during the grants season, you might want to move this up to the front so as you're working on your grants. I'm going to click on the grants icon now. And when I do, you will see it set to the year 24-25. Mark has already put in some important data for you. So be sure to review all of these important dates. He's also indicated some important information here, important contact information. So make sure you pay attention to that. You're going to see the left side of the screen here. The very first thing before you do anything in the grants is one of your officers is going to come here and click on this admin button, and they will see a line item called Club Signatures. And according to the rules for your district, you are going to put the individuals from your club over to the right-hand side that are the individuals who will be signing the grants, signing the interim reports, and signing the final reports. Once you enter the names here and click Save, and you do need to, and I'm sure Mark will go into all those details with you as to who the 2 people should be, and save it, then you'll be able to start your grant application. So now I am going to switch screens here, and I am in our test database now. So you're just going to have to keep in mind, this is not going to look like your district. The names won't be familiar to you, but this will be a place that I'm not going to mess anything up on. So here I am. I'm going to go to My Club. And I am Drew Barrymore this morning. I don't know if any of you have heard of her. So I'm going to click on the grants. And you can ignore this because it did not look like your information. And I'm going to check my admin to make sure my officers did put somebody in there. And Drew and Bobby Flay are going to be the ones who can sign. But I am going to click on now Club Grants View. And you can see there's some test grants in here. And we have one later we're going to work on to show you how to do the interim report and the final report. But we are going to start a grant application. So up on the top right, there will be a big gold button. You cannot miss it. You're going to click on New Club Grant Request. When you come in here, there will be 5 tabs going across the top. And you're going to start with the very first tab. So I'm just going to type some test info in here. And you're going to put the city that it's going to take place. and the state and USA. You could pick your targeted completion date here. And then you have some areas of focus that you can select if that's what your district is requiring, or you can pick other and just put another category here. Here, you should put a short description, because you're really going to put the meat of what you're doing on the application itself. So once you've completed that, then you're going to go to the next tab. This is if there is another club that is working with you on this and you're sharing the grant and the monies, you will add that other club to this section. In our case, we are just going to have our main club. So I'm not going to add any additional clubs, but you would just select them, use the arrows, move them over, and they would be added. The contacts. Now, Bobby is going to be one of my signers, and he's going to also help me complete the grant. So I'm going to find him in the list. Here he is. I'm going to move him over. And if there's somebody else that's helping you, maybe you're not really computer literate and you have somebody else working on it with you, you can move them over as well over here. Now I'm going to go to the application itself. And so here you would put the start date and then the end date. I'm just picking these dates as at random here. And this is where the payment to that you receive from the district should go to. So you can put the treasurer's name in here or the pertinent information. I'm just going to put some fields in here. Now, this is where you would put the longer description, because this is what your district grants committee is going to look at to determine if this is a worthy grant. So you're going to want to put a longer description on what you're really going to be doing here. And as you know, see, there are 4 different boxes. So all of these boxes need to be completed and be specific. This one is asking you for humanitarian efforts. Describe how the project is going to benefit the community and improve lives. So make sure you fill these in. Your Rotarian involvement. What are the Rotarians going to do? I'm imagining it's not just signing a check and giving it to somebody. So put involvement here. Whoops. And it helps if you can spell. Publicity plan. How are you going to publicize it? Are you going to use Facebook? Are you going to use the newspaper, radio station, TV, whatever you're going to, how you're going to advertise it? Make sure you fill that in. And if there's any other partners that you're going to work with, you can say yes here. And then later in the documents section, you're able to add documentation that these partners are going to be working with you. If there are no other partners, you can just put NA here. And then there will be 2 boxes that you are going to check to confirm. The last item is the MOU. Now notice it has the 2 individuals that can sign, and since the MOU needs to be signed by the president and the president-elect, they both appear here. And notice it's not signed. There's a P-mail here that is going to be sent to your president and president-elect to sign the MOU. So I'm going to click this now, and as we're using the system, I will get the emails in a few minutes And then I'm going to show you what this looks like later. So I'm going to click P-mail. We're going to go back now. Now I am going to say save. Oh, I missed something required. Okay, let me go back here. What did I miss? Oh, it took out my names. I'm so sorry here. I should not have hit that email button yet before saving. So you just learned an important lesson there. Don't hit that email until you've saved it, because it doesn't know that this is a saved grant. Okay, save. There we go. Now you see there's 2 new tabs. Now let me go to the MOU. That looks better. Now you can see it's addressed to my president-elect. It says your signatures required for an MOU. They're going to receive this email, and I am going to click send. And now I'm going to go back to our grant, and now we're going to put the budget in. And keep in mind, this is the budget. This is what your district is going to base their determination on. This is not actuals, the actual money you spent. This is just the budget. So I'm going to add the income source. First, I'm going to add the DDF requested amount. So I'm going to just call it DDF. And I'm going to say, I'm going to apply for a $2,000 grant, and it's going to be $1,000 DDF, and our club is going to put the other $1,000 in. So I'm marking DDF, and you must select DDF here. And now I'm going to click add. And by the way, if you are using the club participation, Mark will put in the amounts that the club has is allowed to apply for. And that's why you see this down here. In my example, this club is using participation. They actually qualify for a $5,000 grant.
And I'm just going to interject there. That's not a requirement for us. So
Okay, so you could ignore that little statement on the bottom there. Thank you, Mark.
sure enough.
So since it's not a requirement, I am just going to enter the DDF amount. And now I'm going to add my budget expense. And I'm going to say this is for dictionaries. And of course, a budget has to balance. So my expenses, estimated expenses, are going to be $1,000. And notice my budget balance is here. $1,000 here, 1,000 expense, I'm fine. Now, the documents section, it already knows that I have started the grant application and saved it. So every time you do save this grant application, it's going to update. Later, you can add documents to this section. And there you maybe you have a very itemized budget on an Excel spreadsheet that you want to include here. All those letters from partnering partners you might want to add to documents. This is all before you've actually completed the project, because you're going to go back to this document section later. So if you do have to add something here, this happens to be a folder, so you can see that this is a folder. This itself here is a document. So if you click on the folder, and over here where you can upload a file, and then you just select it from your computer. And I'm just going to go to my desktops and go to my test documents, and let's see, grants. So you can actually put a document in here. If you had one, I'm just going to put something in here because we'll upload it later. I'm going to say open and upload. So your document is in here now. So now we're happy with everything. You and the president-elect have looked at this. Now you're ready to submit this application to the district. And while I'm here, notice there's a status bar here. This status bar lets you know where you are in the process. So right now, it is in the draft stage. What is going to happen, Mark will have automated emails that go out, depending what stage your grant is in. So since you save this grant as a draft, there may be an email that you received that tells you what your next steps are. And we're going to talk about it now. So up on the top right, you can see there's a button here that says Club Collect Grant Signatures. So remember at the beginning, I said 2 signatures were required. So Drew, I'm here as Drew. So Drew is going to first click the button that says Collect Grant Signatures. This starts the process. So she's going to click that on. It's telling her, please confirm it that you're starting the signature process. And she's going to click OK. Now, when she did that, notice 2 new tabs appeared here. 1, the signature log. 2, the activity log. The activity log is going to track every step you do. If emails are automatically going out, it's going to show that they have been sent. It's going to show when people signed. It's going to show when the different statuses are changed within your grant. So now up on the top, now it is saying to sign the grant application. So Drew still has one more step before she leaves because she is one of the individuals that has to sign. So she is going to click on sign. Here's a little box, and as you can see, the grant has not officially been signed by anyone. She's going to be the first one to sign it. If I go to the signature log now, I can see that she started the process to sign the grant. And now here are the club signatures. And notice it does put her position here. She happens to be the president-elect. She also happens to be the treasurer in this particular club. So now Bobby Flay needs to sign. Now you're not going to be able to do this. I can do this because it's a demo, but I'm going to switch now to Bobby. And now when Bobby comes in, he's going to go to his My Club. He's going to go to the Club Grants View. And then he's going to click on the pencil of the grant. And when he comes in here, notice up here on the top, it says only 1 of 2 signatures have been made. So he knows, he can see down here, his name is not here. And he sees a button here that says Club Sign Grant Application. He's going to sign the grant application. He can see now that Drew has signed the grant. He's going to click the sign grant. And since he is the last signee, this box is going to appear. And it's going to ask you, did you complete your grant budget? Has your grant application been completely filled out? You have an opportunity to stop here, go back and check if you want. But if everything is complete because you've checked it thoroughly, which I recommend before you do this signing step, go ahead now and click this button to submit the grant for district approval. I am going to submit the grant now for the district approval. I'm going to check my signature log. Now it tells me it was submitted for district approval. Up here, it tells me it was submitted for district approval. And I'm going to look at the activity log while I'm here. And here's where we started. And as you can see, on February 17th at 9/24/09, Bobby clicked the button to submit to the grant for district approval. Now, sometimes clubs will come in here and for some reason, they will click this button, revert to draft. If you do that, all your signatures will be lost and you have to start the signature process all over again. So be aware that that will happen if you revert it back to a draft. In some cases, you might have to revert it back to a draft in case, you know, you really have to make some major changes to it, because once you submit it, you cannot make any changes to it. You can go into the Documents tab and you can add documents there, but you cannot change your budget request, the DDF amount. You will not be able to change that once you click that button. Let me check my email. Let's see here. Let me find and see if I received an email yet asking me to sign my grant. I mean the MOU. Okay, here we go. I'm going to bring this over here so you can see what your president's going to see. So here is the message they receive. So I'm going to click sign the MOU. And now it says they must agree. So they must put their agreement in there and they must sign their name and agree. Now let me see if Bobby's came in. And his did. So let's find out where Bobby's really is. And when you're working in Zoom, it is close that other one. This will be here. Okay. And I'm going to click for Bobby. You're not going to see this. I'm just going to do it so we can go back to the MOU and take a look at it. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my MOU. Oops. Let's see, it might take a minute for us to get there. All right. Okay, now we're going to come back to the grants, my club, grants icon, club grants view. And when you come here, now you're going to see here is your grant that was submitted for approval. You can ignore the ones in here, they're tests, but we're going to pretend now that the grant has been approved. So now you can see that the grant is approved. We're going to come in here. And now that the grant is approved, you see two new tabs, your interim report and your final report. So these are things that you're going to have to fill out along the way. Mark is going to let everyone know when your interim report is due. And I'm going to go back to the MOU here. And on this one, I already had done this. And as you can see, it shows when they signed. So when the district leadership is reviewing the grants, they can come over to the MOU tab to make sure the president and president-elect have signed that MOU. And now you'll see a new tab, and this is called expenses. And before you complete your final report, your expenses have to be completed. Now, what I'm going to recommend to you is don't wait until you're totally finished with your grant to start entering all those expenses, copies of the receipts photos you take along the way, do it as you're going along. It makes your life easier. As you're paying things, you can mark them off that you did that, and it's going to really take less time when these reports are due. So I'm going to click on the expenses tab. And now I'm going to add a receipt. So I'm going to click on add a receipt. And I'm going to say dictionary purchase from Amazon. And I'm going to say my invoice number was that. And I'm going to say my amount was $1,000. And you can put additional comments here if you want. Now notice this little note here. You will be able to upload the receipt after you save this record. So I'm going to click add. And now here is my notification for the receipt. And now I'm going to click the pencil. And now I'm going to find my receipt on my computer. So I'm going to say choose file. I'm just going to pick a receipt. This really won't be a true receipt, but for that, but we're just going to pick it anyway. And now I'm going to save it. And it does show that I saved it. And notice it has the word docs there. That means not only did I save the receipt here in the receipts, it also saved the receipt in the documents. So you don't have to go to the documents now to add this receipt. It is saved. Now, I wrote a check for this, and I want to enter my check now that I wrote, paid for my dictionaries. So now I'm going to add my payment. And this was going to be to Amazon. I'll just leave this check number in here. I am going to put my $1,000 in there, and I'm going to put my cursor in this box. Notice to see what just happened. My invoice that I entered shows up in this drop-down list. That's why I'm saying if you have your invoices and you enter them as you go along, you don't have to worry when it's time to add the payment section. I'm going to select this as my receipt, and I am going to click add. Now, these two are linked. So when the district committee comes in to look at it, they don't have to open up the documents tab, try to match what you're looking at. They can see here that the reference is 3327, which was over here. And they can see here that this reference is 3328, that these are the two that go together. Because I'm sure this is a very simple example. You are going to have a lot more receipts than just one receipt. If I go over to the Documents tab, and I take a look in here now you'll see one called Expenses. When I click that on, here's a folder. I'm going to open up my folder. Here is that sample invoice I told you about. And I just noticed I forgot something. So I'm going to go back to my expenses, and I am going to come over here. I forgot to load a copy of my check that I wrote. So I'm going to grab a copy of my check, and I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to back to my documents and back to my expenses. And here is my new one. Here's the copy for the grants training. So there we go. So there's my two receipts, and it keeps it in an individual folder in case you're adding more than one document there. So you can double check after you enter your expenses and your payments. Go to the Documents tab, make sure everything shows up. If you have any photos, you can put them in this image folder. It's best to, if you want on your final report later, to show the images, it's best to upload them as a PNG or a JPEG. And just click that on, upload a file, choose. See if I can find, here's a photo, upload, and now you have a photo associated with it. And let me just test something in our documents here. I'm going to go back to our home. And the backup, okay. Once you start filling out your interim report and your final report, they will create backups in this backup folder. And I just want to point that out for you, that they will create backups because it's always going to update it every time you make a change. So let me go back to the expenses. Now, it's time to fill out your interim report. I'm going to click the interim report on, and notice there's only a few places on here that you have to complete. So this was automatically taken from the application. So this will already be pre-populated for you. This will also be pre-populated, but you do have other areas that you have to complete. So this one here is how many people benefited from the project. So I'm just going to put a number in here. And now how many Rotarians participated in the project? I'm going to just stick a number in there. And now here is what did they do? Give at least 2 examples, not including financial support. Put stickers on dictionaries. Talked to the children, etc. If you had a cooperating organization, what was their role? You'll have to enter that info there. And if there was another club involved, indicate what did they do? Down here, you don't have to do anything because it's going to take everything from the system and import the information. These are all tags. So now we're going to go back up to the top and we're going to click Save Interim Report. It's going to tell us, yes, the PDF report can be found under the Document tab. We're going to say OK. And hopefully it will save in a second here. With Zoom, you never know. Let's flip in our Document tab and see if there's anything in there. And there's our interim report. So now we're going to go back to our interim report, and guess what we have? Now it's time to start the signature process again. So Drew is in here. She is going to collect the signatures. And very similar to what happened before, the button's going to change now to sign. She's going to sign it. And notice all the signatures from the previous approved grant are there. What you didn't see was Jennifer was the district person who had approved the grant. That's why her name appears here. Now Drew is going to sign this. And we can go to the signature log. And here's the progression of the, oh, you know, I bet you I'm still in there as Bobby Flay. So Bobby signed it first. So let me switch to Drew here. And now Drew went to her My Club, went to her grants icon, clicked on her grants view, clicked the pencil to her grant, and now she's going to sign it. Okay, and now she is going to submit the report to the district. Notice here on your status bar now where you're at. The interim report has been submitted for approval. I'm going to go to the signature log, verify that's what happened. I'm going to come to the activity log and notice, since this is my test system, notice all the emails that have been going out along the way. And here is the last status where Drew sent it to the district. So now I'm going to have to be the district person here so we can approve this grant. So now the district person's in here. They're going to approve your interim report, and now they're going to sign it and they're going to approve it. So now I'm going to be Drew again. And now Drew is ready to, project is finished. Drew is ready to come back. My club, grants icon, club grants view. And now we are back over here. Let's see, where are we? Right here. Interim report was approved. And Drew is in here. It's time to complete the final report. Here you go. You're going to do the same thing. This is probably going to be very similar. I'm just putting things in here so that we can go ahead and sign it. And now Drew is saving the final report. The PDF is going to be added. And back to the club's grant view. Back into the final report. And now we're going to collect final signatures again. And now Drew is going to sign it. Now we got to get to Bobby Flay. He's going to sign it. And now here it is. Bobby is going to sign it and submit to district for approval. And now you can see your status bar. You're waiting now for the district committee to approve the final report. Now I'm going to come over to the documents because here is a copy of your final report so far. If you click this on, see if it'll open. It's going to show you what your final report looks like so far. So it captures your entire expense history. It captures your entire budget. It's going to capture all the signatures. And it's going to capture all of the information. Once the district adds the RI district number here, the grant number here, and the check that they have sent to you here, that will show when the final report is approved and the district has submitted the payments. But this gives you an idea. Here's your JPEGs showing up and any PDFs you have showing up, the MOU, everything is going to show on this final report. So you don't have to have tons of paper anymore. It's all going to be stored here from year to year, and you are going to be good to go. So Mark, we've gone through just about everything, starting with completing an application, completing an interim report, and the final report. So we are ready to go over some questions.
There, Fred had a question. His question was, if they're finished with the report, by the time it's time to submit the interim report, do we still need to do an interim, or can we just do a final report? From my
That's-
end of it, it's fine, just submit the final. Does this program allow that to happen?
That's going to be up to you, Mark, because I don't know what the district rules are.
Oh, district rules are fine. That would be great. So yeah, a final would be good.
Mhm.
Okay. Here's another. Matthew, is it possible to get this process in written form, like a checklist? Do you have a
This
step by
video
step?
is going to be your checklist of how to do this.
Yeah. And the thing I would add there is, if I was to enter a grant, I would have this screen, I would have this recording up as I go through each of the steps. Because you'll see it. I mean, you can see at the top of this page, it's linear. You go from one thing to the next, and this recording and Lynn's presentation of it shows, yeah, it just takes you step by step. So as you enter your information, review this and enter the information that you need to put in. Okay. Are the 2 Vimeos on the homepage up to date? We will be adding this, the recording of this will be added both to the district grant section as well as in the training session of our district webpage.
Let's see, I'll pull your page up for a minute here.
And who's allowed to add the grant's title to my club view? So a couple things I can add as that might clarify things. The people who sign the documents are what we have previously called the primary grant contact, and the financial grant contact.
Right
And so
here.
when the president decides who's going to enter this grant information, it's just like before. It will be the person who writes the grant and the person that is in charge of the funding for it. Another point that you'll see in there will be in the early stage of the entering the grant information, there's a question of priority. And priority, we only have 3 priorities. One is a primary grant, one is a secondary grant, and the third one is the collaborative grant. So if you have multiple clubs that are involved, you'll be entering the collaborative. Hope that helps.
Before you go on, Mark,
Yeah.
I just was going to demonstrate that, but here's what happens if you don't have your club signatures. You'll get this error message. So then you can go to your president or your secretary and ask them to add those 2 grant writers into this club signature box so you can start your grant. Go ahead, Mark.
Good.
Sorry.
Okay. Steve, what is the required completion date if the application is initiated in May? That's listed on our pages. The required completion date is next May 15th. Sorry, yeah, May 15th. Completion date of the application. Applications are due, sorry, at the end of May this year. And that's listed on the grants overview page for us. Does that help? Approval process was shown as automatic when the MOU was signed. Vic, your question is, the approval process was shown as automatic when the MOU was signed. Well, there's other steps that you have to go through to complete the process. So MOU is one of those things. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, is what the president and president-elect will be signing. and that's required of all district grants throughout Rotary. And all that's really saying is we are going to do what we say we're going to do within the rules of the foundation. In other words, yes, president-elect agree, yes, we think this is a fine thing, and we're going to do this as Rotary tells us we should do this. So that's what the MOU is.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me? This is Victor.
Yeah.
So when Lynn was going through the process, and once the MOU did get signed by two people, that automatically went across that tab or that timeline to show it was approved project. But I think, isn't there a committee that you convened to accept all these applications and decide which ones you can support, and also how much you can fund the ones you support or approve?
Unless I misunderstood what happened, I think all that was approving was that it's approved as a grant. That is, you've completed your process. Doesn't mean that you've been awarded the funds or that you'll receive the funds. Okay. So that's all that is. It's just says, yeah, you can submit now. But no, that's not an automatic approval.
Okay, so I guess outside of what we were shown, how will we then be notified of what we requested, what was approved, and how much was approved for the project?
Right. So that happens once the committee meets, just like in other years. And when the committee approves, the grant is approved, there's a bunch of people that will be notified, including the two people that wrote, the two signatories, as well as the president-elect. They will be notified as well. That's an automatic letter, which I really like about the system. It facilitates communication tremendously. So those will come out automatically once they're approved. And you'll see also in the it has the same timeline as previous years. And that's about, let's see, grants are due the 31st of May. I think notification comes at the end of June.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 2 new messages. Does this process mean that we do not need to submit a written copy of the grant request? That's what that means. Yeah, this comes in through this system exclusively. The approved grant number will be coming in. Yes, and I think the grant number will be yes, that comes in automatically. That you'll see that. I believe, Lynn, that comes at the time the grant request is submitted.
Yes, this is the internal grant number. Let me get back there. Let's see here. Right here, the project numbers. As soon as you save the grant, this project number is assigned. At the beginning, once Mark has the RI grant number, he's going to enter that in the system, and that will automatically appear on everybody's grant, but it's only going to show up in the reports. It's not going to show up on the grant anywhere. But this is the project number you'll refer to if you're reaching out to Mark and the committee. If you have any questions, this is your project number.
Good, thanks. That'll help, won't it, Rick? So next question was, where will we find the video recording of this session? The video recording of this session will be in the district grants module, and it will also be available through the district training section of the website. Oh, let me remind everyone again, if you haven't entered your name in the chat session, your name and your club, please do so. If you've done it once, please don't do it again. Is there a specified amount that we can request? Oh. And up to amount, yes. That'll be listed also in the interest section of the grant section, but it's $4,000 per club. Or if you do a collaborative grant, 2 clubs can request up to 6,000, 3 up to 9, and 4 up to 12. Good.
And Mark and Lynn, when you were talking earlier, Lynn, about using DDF, I always thought of DDF as, district funds and that was done at the higher level. But you're basically saying that the DDF is where the grant comes from?
The DDF amount is the amount that the district is going to give them.
Yeah, okay. So that is, you take that and then what your club can raise, and then that's your total project cost. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the district's portion that they're going to give you, DDF, and that's why it's important. That's the amount you're asking for. Like if it's 4,000 that the district is going to give you, your DDF would have to be that 4,000 if that's what you're requesting. Because once you submit the grant, that number is locked. You cannot change it. And if something happens later where maybe the district can't give you that much, they will be able to adjust the amount, but you cannot change it. So it's important to mark that amount as DDF.
And I'm sure you all remember these are matching grants. So if your total project expense will be $8,000, your club raises 4,000 and the district can match up to that $4,000. Also remember,
so in that example that I had given you under the budget, you're probably going to want to indicate your club raising efforts too. So if the district's giving you 4,000 in your budget, you're probably going to want to show that the club is coming up with the other 4,000.
let's see, Fred, do we need to do any training for those who have to sign for any part of the grant, or do the emails provide all the technical steps to get their signatures? Both either the financial contact or the primary contact need to view this recording. Fred, does that answer your question?
And they have to be on the club signature list.
So for instance, this is Victor from Swift Mountain Lake. For instance, I am the PE. For my president to sign, will she have to also view this?
Are you talking about the MOU?
Well, I think the original question had to do with in the past, if a club was to participate in getting DDF funds, people had to participate in actually attending the training. I'm attending the training right now as the PE. Does the president have to also show that she has also observed this training so she can be authorized as a signatory?
So the rules within the district are such that no. The only people that really truly need to attend this are the people that are directly involved in the grant. That would be that is the 2 primary people that are involved in the grant. That would be the primary grant person, that's the person who's writing it. And the second person would be the person who will be financially responsible for the grant.
But
That's how it's always been. Primary
your president
and
will
financial
have to
contact.
sign the MOU.
Right.
And that's just a letter that they're going to get when you send the email to them, and they'll just click the button, they agree, and it's done automatically. They don't have to really learn anything. They just have to look for the email.
And that's all, that MOU is already on our on the district grant section of the website. So if you want to look at that, you can see that.
Let me ask about actual dates of which receipts would be accepted, as far as we know that the awards will be announced June 30th. But for us to apply receipts for reimbursement, what is the earliest date that that would occur, that could occur? Would that be June 30th or July 31 or what?
Right, so it's after the grant has been approved, you can collect expenses. So
So
it's like-
June
so-
30th would be the date.
Yeah, so the only thing that you have to be aware of is we don't back pay. Okay, so yeah, June 30.
Right.
Good. Thanks, Tracy. I think she did a great job too. Tracy said it's a great tool once we all get used to it. Thank you, Lynn. You explained
Yes.
things very well.
I'm gonna
So,
point something else out.
yes,
Here's the support and learning tab. If you have any questions, of course, go to Mark first, but you can also click the support ticket button here and submit a question. Our team reviews these tickets all day, every day, and they will get back to you. Everybody is very knowledgeable in the system, so don't struggle. Don't spend more than 10 minutes trying to figure something out. You know, just reach out for help right away so it makes the process smoother for you.
more questions? Lynn, could you send this back to me?
Yes.
Thanks. Lynn, thank you so much. You did a great job. I know we'll be looking at this many times in the future. Let me see.
Mark, can you
Okay.
remind us how much total funding you're allotted to give out this year for this?
We don't, that has not been approved just yet. But it will be about the same as last year, maybe $8,000 more than last year. If that helps. I think last year was around 119,000, so maybe I'm expecting around 128,000, but that has not been approved yet, so it's not official, but that's the direction we're headed.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Sure, Trace. So Lynn, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Let's see. So there's our schedule. The due date is the end of May. That's earlier than last year. There's lots of time. The awards will be announced at the end of June, then pending approval, the funds will come out later. Progress reports, and then the final report. Those are the dates. This is your grants committee. If you have questions, contact them. And Lynn has said we can contact DACDB. I'll be happy to be your interface. However I can help, let me know.